guests on Face the State. This week, I'm turning the focus to the other side of the aisle. I recently had a wide-ranging interview with 3rd District Congresswoman Democrat Joyce Beatty. We talked about President Trump's trip to the Middle East, tariffs, and a push to put Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. We started with potential cuts to Medicaid and Head Start.
The president and other Republicans have said that budget cuts will not impact Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. Do you still have concerns that that will happen?
Oh, I definitely have concerns. As you probably know, Medicaid and Medicare, that comes under our Energy and Commerce Committee. And late into the night, through the night, they were in debating, Democrats on one side, Republicans on the other side. And here's what I know. If we take Medicaid, for example, and we look at almost 40% of our Ohioans are dependent on Medicaid. And I think it's important, Doug, for people to know, we're talking about sick children. We're talking about the great work that happens right here at home at Nationwide Children. We're talking about what our major hospitals are doing. And then when you think about hospitals and healthcare nursing homes, they are also dependent to the tune of some 65%. Now you tell me, when I'm sitting here in Washington and they're talking about cutting $800 billion out of that budget, I think it's ridiculous that anybody and any Republican that would try to tell with us what they're doing is not going to be harmful and we shouldn't worry. Then I want to hear them say this, and elections have consequences. The American people are not going to accept that. We had people with disabilities just yesterday that were turned away. They came all the way to Washington because they want to be heard. And I can tell you unequivocally and loud and clear, I am standing with the people. My colleagues, whether they are in Ohio or across this country, will hear from Democrats. We're fighting by communicating, telling the truth. We are litigating, and we are countering their legislation. So we're in the win.
Some pushback in response to reports that the president may eliminate funding for Head Start in his budget request. Do you think a cut is likely?
Well, we are, again, fighting tooth and nail against that. We know when you go back to the early 1960s when Head Start started, and you can look at the research to see that this program worked. Children were advanced when they went into schools, and we've tracked some of those children that went on to be great leaders. So, again, they are making threats to Head Start. And, you know, when we look at it, it was in Project 2025. And here's what I need people to know. Most people understood that Project 2025 was harmful, and it was all about cutting hardworking American people. It was an attack on minority communities. It was an attack on how and what our children would do in school.
What do you make of the president's current trip to the Middle East and some of the deals he's announced, including the $600 billion investment deal with Saudi Arabia?
Well, I think it speaks for itself where it is, and it falls right into the thing of total control. You know, he has us up against a trade war. When we look at what he's doing with his taxes and his tariffs, he meets with folks who have not been an ally to us. He's stirring the pot internationally. And so I think we should be concerned because this is all about corruption, all about corruption. He's brokering deals that will not set well with us and some of our allies.
The administration recently announced it will lower the tariffs on China from the 145% back to 30%, and China will reduce its from 125 to 10%. Do you think that's a good deal for America?
I don't know if not, because I don't know what to believe, but here's what I think happened. You know, China bit back. When Trump got out there and he was saying what he was going to do, he thought China would roll over. But what they did was they hit us hard. The American people started complaining because what it was doing to businesses. Just the other day, I was in a car dealership, and they were saying they're afraid of what's going to happen to their products. The beer and wine people came in and said they no longer from international places that they've traditionally ordered from, they're afraid because when they order it, and what happens at the purchase of receiving it, at the point of receiving it, they don't know what they're going to be hit with. And so I think what has happened now, because China bit back, it caused Donald Trump and his cronies to then come up with the numbers that you just gave. We don't know what to believe because tomorrow it could be something different.
You've been very passionate about getting Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. Where does that stand right now, and why is it so important to you?
I think it's important for a variety of reasons. There was a national survey of who should go on the $20 bill because, as you know, every decade or so, they go through revamping, and it takes a long process with the security codes and the things that we would do. And throughout several administrations, even when Republicans were in control, it was decided that Harriet Tubman would be put on the $20 bill, or a like image of her would be put on one side of it. And as we've worked through Secretary Treasuries, through the Obama, the Biden, the Trump in 2017, everybody was on board with this. And so, as you probably witnessed in committee the other day, when I talked to the secretary, it was clear that he didn't even know what I was talking about. And that was very disappointing to me because a commitment had been made that we should be in the final productions of this. And I think it's important for us to be able to say to America, and not only Black Americans, that this is something that will give us a greater sense of knowing in this wonderful country we live on, and we can also see us, and for my grandchildren and others coming up, I think it's important.